Right, live at 5, set to strike. Unions announce a new series of walkouts by British Airways cabin crew, and a news conference is due shortly and we'll go there live. In fact, there you go. The unions are just sitting down now at the Unite headquarters in central London, just as they prepare to start talking. Last time they voted, of course, it was 9-1 in favour of strike action. They were going to walk out for 12 days over Christmas, but a High Court ruled that walkout illegal. But they voted once again in favour of strike action. Not surprising, given the majority last time. Let's see what they have to say.
Thanks for waiting. My name's Len McCluskey. I'm Assistant General Secretary of Unite. And on my left is my colleague Paul Talbot, who's also an Assistant General Secretary of Unite. As you know, we've been waiting for the outcome of the ballot for the strike action of our members, and I can give you the results of that now. Those voting yes represented 7,482 of our members, which is 81% voting yes. Those voting no, 1,789, which is 19%, and the turnout was just short of 80%. I think by all standards that is an extraordinary result, especially given the type of pressure and intimidation that our members have faced over the past weeks, both from British Airways management, who've threatened to withdraw staff travel concessions, and also from other individuals within the company. In particular, some pilots who've behaved in a manner that has not been conducive to what their profession should expect from them. I think it's also incredible that, given the wild exaggerations that the press have engaged in and the misrepresentation of our members, that this type of results should be forthcoming. I think it's also a clear indication of the deep sense of grievance that our members feel. And we can only hope that British Airways management will now recognise that the only way to resolve this dispute is through negotiation, not through litigation, and certainly not through intimidation. You may be aware that we have been engaged in the past number of weeks in discussions with the company under the auspices of the TUC, and they've been meaningful discussions. And therefore, we are not announcing any strike dates today. Our shop stewards and our representatives will need to consider the extent of this result, and we'll be meeting first thing in the morning to do that. But our message is a clear one. We're asking for everyone to keep calm. We're asking for the British Airways management to recognise that they have lost the trust of an important group of their employees. And the way to win that trust back is by reaching a satisfactory resolution to our dispute. I'll take questions now, and then we'll proceed from there.
Paul Harrison from Sky News. When Unite failed to get a permanent injunction against British Airways on Friday, after they reduced numbers of staff on airlines, it's pretty unlikely they're going to back down on something like that now. So despite the fact that you say discussions are the way forward, really we're in a position of stalemate and strikes will almost certainly go ahead.
No, I don't accept that at all. We're certainly not in a stalemate position. We've had meaningful discussions with the company, and I wouldn't be deflected by what happened last Friday. That was a technical argument that has been dealt with in the courts. It's of absolutely no relevance to the industrial dispute that we have with the company. And it's only through negotiation. Remember, it may sound like a mantra to you, but it is true. This will only be resolved by negotiation, not litigation and not intimidation. So I'm hopeful that the company will recognise the strength of feeling of our members, and that will make them sufficiently flexible to reach an agreement with us.
Mike Sargent, BBC News. When you last held a press conference announcing the result of the ballot, it was in December, and you announced 12 days of strikes, which shocked a lot of people. From what you're saying today, you don't seem quite as determined to push through with with crippling strikes. What is in the back of your mind? A possible 10-day strike? What are your options?
Well, our options are many and varied, but it's not true for you to suggest that we don't feel as strongly about the issue. Our members have once again, and I'm sure all of you in this room today will be amazed at that kind of result against the backdrop of intimidation. Our members have a sense of grievance, and Unite is committed to fighting for workers who have a grievance. So, of course, we will prosecute that dispute, but we have been involved in discussions at the TUC, and that gives me hope that we can make a breakthrough and be able to put forward a resolution to our problems that is acceptable to our members.
You don't have unlimited time now, do you?
No, of course, the legislation requires us to take any action within a 28-day period, and that legislation pressurises us to do that. It's not the most helpful legislation, but then again, legislation that restricts working people is not helpful at all. But we will obviously comply with the law, but in the meantime, we are continuing our discussions and negotiations with the company with a view to seeking resolution to our problem.
Chris Gibson from ITV News. Do you feel that your position has been weakened by the fact that the British Airways have had enough time to amass a skeleton crew of volunteers that will be able to work during any strike action?
No, it hasn't been weakened at all, and it's regrettable that the company have adopted that type of tactic, trying to get one worker to strike break against another, especially the flight crew community. These are people who fly together. These are people who put each other's health and safety in each other's hands. And to try to pit one against the other, which the company have done, and I have to say some pilots, not all, but a number of pilots have behaved in a way that I think, when they look back on this in time to come, when we've resolved this dispute, they'll be rather ashamed of how they have behaved. But no, it doesn't weaken whatsoever. The company are only able to put together a small group of strike breakers. And remember, when they fly, they've gone. It's not like we're sitting in a factory where they can continually strike break. So it doesn't weaken us at all. And what this result shows is that British Airways should concentrate on trying to resolve the problems that their staff, this loyal staff who've been mainly responsible for making British Airways the premier brand within the aviation sector, their staff have a deep sense of grievance. So let's stop talking about intimidating and strike breaking. Let's concentrate all our energies on resolving the dispute.
Could you give us some idea of how the talks are going? How close are you? What sort of issues are being focused on?
Well, the talks are complex, as you can imagine. Like all talks, they are very complex, and we're looking at all kinds of specific issues. British Airways, as a company, are in financial difficulties. That's always been recognised. Our members in the cabin crew, just like our other, we have 30,000 Unite members in British Airways, and all of our members in the different sections, including our cabin crew membership, want to make their contribution to making the company competitive again. So we are looking at very complex issues, and it would be wrong for me to try and go into too much detail or discuss, conduct negotiations through the media.